Chris says forward for the Broncos, I think he's referring to. And Peter says listening is a skill, still learning it. Yes. I'm interested actually, and I think we both probably do it a lot. Peter does it a little bit. A lot of people I've been speaking to recent times do it a lot. Maybe it's within that circle that we are in. It is about talking a lot.
Right. I'm going quiet right on cue.
I know.
So
I was kind of waiting for that.
So yeah, but as like I said before, so
how are we going with tangents today?
Well, we're up to about 97. I'm always happy to talk on these forums because if I don't talk, then it's not really riveting viewing. Although maybe some would argue it is. But from a coaching perspective, asking questions and listening. It's all around listening. And I say to people, listen 4 times as much as you talk. At least listen, you have 2 of these and 1 of these. So at least listen twice as much. But if you can challenge yourself to ask a question and really like almost physically rock back on your heels and just be quiet. I've done a lot of interviewing, recruitment over many, many years and dealing with people and now in my current business as a coach, always wanting to ask questions and then just stop and be conscious to listen.
It's definitely an area I've developed over time, and I'm actually more conscious of actually leaving gaps and just waiting and just being really comfortable in that space. And that's been amazing for me. And now I'm having conversations with people that just go like, blah, 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 and just don't stop. There's no gap. How are you going to learn from that?
And people feel very awkward if there's silence. It's almost like that the first date, right? That awkward silence on a first date. So they want to be able to fill that with something, even if it's just hot air. But they want to be able to fill it. Whereas, like you said, you watch a lot of the great interviewers on television, etc. They always there's silence. There's silence because then the interviewee then almost feels compelled to fill it with something. Right, and
that's so powerful.
Police
more than
well.
powerful questions.
Well, police interviews as well.
Powerful.
So you watch a lot of the crime shows, etc. Police interviews. They'll ask great questions and they'll shut up, and then the person who they're interviewing will, in a lot of cases, feel compelled to fill it with something. So it's incredible that the whole silence bit is a real art to it.
Absolutely. We've got Chris who said, "How do we champion the runs on the board while dealing with tall poppy?"
While dealing with tall poppies,
Sorry, Fox.
Well, yeah, exactly.
Sorry.
No, but that's what it is. It's like others, you can't control it. So quite simply, I can't control what Luke's going to say, and nor can he control what I'm going to say, and the same applies to everybody.
He's tried, but there's no chance.
So it's about, you can't control it. So control what you can do. You can control what you say, you can control what you think, you control your listening, your actions, etc., etc. If someone is going to try and cut you down, which is inevitably going to happen in a tall poppy scenario, you cannot control it. And I go back to the comments that I was saying earlier when I was looking to get out of my day job, the number of comments that came to me to say, don't do it, safety, security, you went to uni, you're getting paid great money, blah, 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 was phenomenal. But I had, in my heart, I knew what I was meant to be doing, and so I just kept forging in my own path. So the reality is that you can't control what others are going to say. You need to be very in tune with yourself. Self-awareness is the key here. It's all about understanding yourself and following what it is that you want to do.
You know what I'd say on top of that, Chris, is thinking about championing the people that are successful. So really have strong focus. I look to Shane Warne, Michael Jordan, anyone who's successful, especially in your field of expertise, or what I look to some of my competitors as a buyer's agent. Some people that have got 50 or 100 or 150. I love all the people that are buyer's agents, and for us, it's getting out more awareness. It's not about competition that we have with each other. It's just like we can promote more awareness, and I'm just like, they're successful. I want more of what they've got. I want to be, even bigger and better than what I am, and I just keep championing and focusing on them. If I focus on the words at the background, it's where your focus is.
Yeah, of course. And go back to as kids, when we did sporting events, it was always around doing a PB, doing your personal best. And the same applies here. It's like Forget about what everybody else is doing, because firstly you don't know what's going on behind the scenes for them, but focus on what you're doing. Focus on the things that you can say, you can control, your actions, where your thoughts go, all those types of things. Focus on what it is for you. The other bit I want to say, just in supporting Luke, is that success leaves clues. And it doesn't always have to be success in sporting, although they're great examples. But like you said, it could be with competitors. It could be in something totally foreign. It just may be someone who was able to, I don't know, climb Mount Everest, for example, and they went through adversity. I love those stories around people who got through adversity, and what did they do, and how did they achieve it, and what were they thinking, and what were the things they said to themselves. There's an enormous amount that can be found in that. So success always leaves clues. And the last thing is, Chris Rohn says this, is you are the average of your 5 closest people.
Is that Jim Rohn?
Jim Rohn, sorry, not Chris Rohn. Jim Rohn, sorry. We'll edit that out. So you are the average of your 5 closest people. And so it's about finding like-minded people. Now, I believe it's broader than that. I believe it's your network, right? So find the right network. And you might have multiple networks for multiple things. So, for example, I have a property network. I go to a business network, and et cetera, et cetera. So you can have multiple networks, but it's about surrounding yourself with people who are going to lift you up, but also then you can aspire to be like.
And also, Chris, that the challenging words and the tall poppy syndrome might, in some cases might push you down and you might struggle with it. But in some cases, it might actually motivate you. For me, it kind of motivates me, and it has in the past. People saying, nah, not going to work, you don't do it. It's pushed me up, and it's made me think that I can do it. The running, for example, I threw it out to a lot of people really early on, a weekend or 2 into it, that are going to run for a whole year. A lot of people say, well, what if you're sick? What if you're hungover? What if anything happens? What if you're injured? Yeah, all these things are a possibility, but I had that strong focus. And the more I heard that I couldn't do it, the more I was convinced that I was going to do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
The more convinced.
I was sharing a story this week with someone where I went to see Gary Vee a few years ago, and my son said to me in the morning, he said, Dad, I'm doing a social media project. And I said, I'm going to get Gary Vee to do a video for you. And he said, no, you won't, Dad. And so lo and behold, that evening I cornered Gary Vee, got the video, and away we went. And so I was sharing that story this week around the fact that, yeah, quite often you use that as motivation. It's like, no, you can't. It's like, you know what? Yes, I damn well can, and I'm going to prove it to myself.
I want tall poppy syndrome. I want people to actually just try to cut me down.
But that's you, right? So just be
that's
careful.
It.
So
that's right.
That's you, and
Absolutely.
that may not be for everybody. So
that's what we said. I did preference it before, but it's good for you to bring it up again. Some people will struggle a lot with it.
And I shared my story that I gave up the drink 3 and 3/4 years ago. So so oh my gosh, so going through that, as Aussies, and the focus that we have on alcohol, etc. And I don't have an issue with it, but at that time, the amount of commentary around the fact that I wasn't drinking was just off the charts. But I was able to push through that because I was doing it for my reasons. I was doing it because it meant a lot to me, and quite often that's what happens, is we succumb to other people's opinions. But here's the thing, it's your life, it's your dreams, you get one of them, so do the thing that's important for you. And for me, it was important to me. I didn't give a damn what others said about the fact that I was giving up drinking. It's like, this is critical for me, I need to do this, and I did it, and here I am 3 3/4 years later, and I won't drink again.
John, good to have you on, and Tony says that
the Simon Says champion.
Yeah, Mark is the Simon Says champion. Absolutely, I've seen him up there on stage numerous times through that session, and obviously great to talk about that particular question. So it's a really good question, Chris.
Excellent
Might be
question.
A topic for another day. So really awesome.
Well, let's do it for next week. We could do that for next week. So anyway, we're always, and that's a good point actually.
Tangents.
We're always looking for different topics, and we can certainly come up with plenty of topics. There's plenty of things going on in our lives. But if there's something you'd love for Luke and I to address on an upcoming episode, we've done this 8 times.
Well, we get it from the questions, right? But if you've got any topics,
yeah, correct. We'd love to take your advice, your suggestions, because then we can craft something up. If we think it's going to help the broader audience, then we'll certainly look to address it. And,
a lot of crafting, that's for sure.
Oh, enormous amount of crafting going on with this program.
Yeah, like 15 minutes beforehand. No, I did wake up early today and set it all up. So
Johnny's just come on. John, hello, mate. How you going?
He loves a bit of a talk.
He does.
You know, we did actually talk about that the other day.
Right.
I don't know. Should I talk about that? I don't know. I've got to be careful what I say.
We can edit it out later. This is not live, is it? Oh, oh, geez, I didn't realise that. Okay.
All right. Your advice, guys, this is what it's all about. So think about some of the advice that you're giving to others, and then what is that reflecting back on yourself? Think about some of the conversations. John said to go on. I was just talking about, talking rather than listening in conversations. And I know, John, you said about over-talking at times, and it's just something that we can reflect on for ourselves. So be mindful about what's going on in the way you're talking, the way you're listening, the advice that you're giving to people. Any final words from you, Tony?
Absolutely. So the saying is be careful what, always got to have a say, be careful what you say to yourself because your mind's listening. Right, so be careful what you say to yourself. The things you say out aloud, be careful what it is. And the other is to listen to the advice that you're giving, but not just listen, but really sit with it and go, is that advice for me?
Absolutely.
Is that advice for me?
I've been thinking about that more and more each and every day when I'm actually talking to other people, and it's like, I reflect back on it for myself and just say, is that something I should be doing? So that can be very powerful. So you're actually teaching yourself. But you don't realise, some people don't realise, I don't know if my mum's on here, she always talks about giving advice to other people, but she struggles to say, well, she doesn't believe that she's actually taking on that advice or adhering to that advice herself. I think she is. There's probably just a slight misbelief that that's not actually happening. But if she believed it, I think she'd be on board with it.
Reflection is so critical, and I talk about it here, each and every week, pretty much each and every week, around the two questions that you want to ask yourself constantly. What is it that you can do well, and what can I do differently? What did I do well, and what can I do differently moving forward? And reflection is just so important from a this is all about self-awareness. It's about truly, truly, truly understanding yourself, because when you understand yourself and you have awareness of where you're at, the next step of change is then taking action. So you can have awareness and you can choose not to do something, or you can have awareness and go, you know what, now that I'm aware that I think like that, or I say that, or whatever it might be, I'm now going to do something about it. And that's how people go and create change. It's awareness plus the right action equals change.
Mark says, my kids say, do you listen to understand or to respond?
Correct.
Yeah, it's a big one. We're all often wanting to get the next word in. We're just like biting at the chomp just to go in for those next words. Often we're family situations, especially if you've got large families. I'm one of 4 kids in my family, and it is it's a big thing for us to actually, when we grew up, to actually get a word in. Did you have the same thing in your family?
No, I used to always get the words.
I bet you did.
No, I'm the eldest, so they just listened. So, but I agree.
Or else.
We talked about earlier around the necessity for people to respond when there's silence. It's like, but there's this gap there. I got to fill it with something. I got to put something into that gap, as opposed to just sit back and just be silent with it all.
So John has said that he spoke to someone the other day and comment that someone was renting. I wrote to him, and that's not nice, and to watch the karma sport. We are no longer friends. And John, I guess there's different ways. When people are coming from a negative standpoint, very tough to correct them in that sort of situation. So again, yes, he needs to be careful, but you also need to be careful if you're, going back to someone with that kind of advice as well. So it's kind of a both be careful in that situation.
I think, I don't know what the comment was, but good on you, John. If you believe in something, if you feel that something needs to be said, quite often people won't say something.
That's how you approach that.
Yeah, of course
as well.
It is. Yeah, 100% it is, right? So you always should approach things from a diplomatic perspective. And again, I don't know what the comment was, so I can't comment on that specifically. But what I can say is, good on you for feeling the desire to say something, to get your point across, to say, hey, have you considered a different opinion?
Obviously he doesn't care about your point. That's why he just cut him on Facebook. There is no need for me to comment, but I felt sorry for the renter. Yeah, absolutely. And that's Yeah, and that's a good point. You know, it's being aware of different things. Yeah, maybe that person could be aware of things a little bit better. But, you know, who are we sometimes to just to say they're right or wrong?
No, and we're not saying that at all. We're
Yeah.
just simply saying that, again, you did something, John, for whatever reason, whatever you felt, the necessity to do that. You've just said there that you felt that you wanted to do something for the renter. Good on you. And when you have the courage to do those things, sometimes
I like to come back.
There's consequences.
I think I'd like to come back with a question and make sure that's not a leading question, and that's where it can be really difficult, especially tone on text message on texting. So I would just say be mindful. Yes, diplomatic is the key word and boils down to thinking before speaking or posting. But
Activate the switch between brain and mouth.
Most people don't, so that's okay. It's just like this is what we deal with. So, you know, you got booted off his page, or a comment comes back to you. So be it. That's
I would also say there could be a self-awareness thing in that. So
Yes.
perhaps out of that example,
Yeah.
maybe John's now going, okay, well in future I will do this differently. So what's question number 2? What would I do differently in the future? So in future I may refrain, or in future I may reframe what it is that I'm saying. Or like you said, maybe I'll go back with a question as opposed to a statement or an accusatory tone or whatever it might be. So do things, and just learn from it.
Again, power in questions, right? And this is where you can use that approach, John. So hopefully that's helped, guys, on this Sunday morning. Daylight saving down in Sydney, or New South Wales and Victoria, Queensland. We're on the,
Nothing changes.
Close.
Not a thing changes here.
Nothing changes.
Nothing changes in
Luke's
Queensland.
still around.
Luke is still here, so that's one of the great questions that we're looking for the answer for is how long will you be in Queensland for?
So it's a question that I always get, a powerful question that I always get.
And what's
it's
the
on
answer?
a daily basis.
And what's the answer?
Are you ever coming back? I don't have an answer.
Fantastic. I love it.
Thank you,
love
guys.
it.
Thank you, Greg.
Thank you, mate. Appreciate
Awesome.
it. Terrific. Thank you,
Sit
guys.
up, man. On fire. Guys, over and out. Have a great Sunday
Enjoy
wherever
your
you are.
Sunday.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.